certain period of time, speculation arose concerning the identity of the occupant of the missing grave. Because there existed no systematic record-keeping for any particular instance of burial in the hilltop graveyard, when or where or for whom an interment took place, the discussions over the occupant of the missing grave or the former occupant always degenerated into outbursts of the wildest nonsense, or simply faded into a vaporous and sullen confusion. Such a scene was running its course in the cellar of an abandoned building where several of us had gathered one evening. It was on this occasion that a gentleman calling himself Dr. Klatt first suggested Ascrobius as the name upon the headstone of the missing grave. He was almost offensively positive in this assertion, as if there were not an abundance of headstones in the hilltop graveyard with erroneous or unreadable names, or none at all. For some time Klatt had been advertising himself around town as an individual who possessed a distinguished background in some discipline of a vaguely scientific nature. This persona or imposture, if it was one, would not have been unique in the history of the northern border town. However, when Klatt began to speak of the recent anomaly, not as a missing grave, even an absent grave, but as an uncreated grave, the others began to listen. Soon enough, it was the name of Ascrobius that was mentioned most frequently as the occupant of the missing, now uncreated grave. At the same time, the reputation of Dr. Klatt became closely linked to that of the deceased individual, who was well known both for his grossly deformed body and his intensely contemplative nature. During this period, it seemed that anywhere in town one happened to find oneself, Klatt was there, holding forth on the subject of his relationship to Ascrobius, whom he now called his patient. In the cramped back rooms of shops long gone out of business, or some other similarly out-of-the-way locale, a remote street corner, for instance, Klatt spoke of the visits he had made to the high back-street house of Ascrobius, and of the attempts he had made to treat the disease from which the recluse had long suffered. In addition, Klatt boasted of insights he had gained into the deeply contemplative personality, whom most of us had never met, let alone conversed with at any great length, while Klatt appeared to enjoy the attention he received from those who had previously dismissed him as just another impostor in the northern border town, and perhaps still considered him as such. I believe he was unaware of the profound suspicion and even dread that he inspired due to what certain persons called his meddling in the affairs of Ascrobius. "Thou shalt not meddle" was an unspoken, though seldom observed, commandment of the town, or so it seemed to me, and Klatt's exposure of the formerly obscure existence of Ascrobius, even if the doctor's anecdotes were misleading or totally fabricated, would be regarded as a highly perilous form of meddling by many long-time residents of the town.